This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Safety denied. Questions are being raised after a suicidal teen is discharged by hospital staff and sent to a homeless shelter.
Race over. A Lower Sackville used car dealership closes amid fraud accusations from customers.
And rock solid. Nova Scotia's best wheelchair curling team chases gold at the national championships.
Keep the warm spring jacket handy. More shower and, yes, flurry chances for Friday and into Saturday. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. A Dartmouth family is raising concerns about how Nova Scotia hospitals handle patients in the midst of a mental health crisis.
The CBC's Selena Alders has more, but first a warning, this story references suicide.
19-year-old Jeremiah Dixon attempted to end his life. Less than a day later, hospital staff sent him in a taxi to a local homeless shelter.
I was scared and shocked, and they just sent me off with some snacks and a ride to the shelter.
I don't understand what kind of person or what kind of system would allow a disabled, vulnerable person who is in the middle of a mental health crisis to be sent to a homeless shelter.
Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned.
Jeremiah often uses music to distract himself from how he's feeling. But on April 13th, the music wasn't loud enough to block out the intrusive thoughts, and he attempted suicide at home.
I was just kind of in a really negative headspace. And there's a lot of dark thoughts that were running through my mind and kind of in a way yelling at me.
He later left home and was eventually found by police and taken to the Halifax infirmary by ambulance. His parents say they pleaded with hospital staff to admit him because they needed time to come up with a safety plan at home. But the next day, he was discharged and sent to the Salvation Army on Gottingen Street.
His body did not look fine and his brain was not fine. But they were just, he said he's fine. So on he goes. Yeah.
Jeremiah has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder and borderline personality disorder. His mother says he's been on a wait list for a psychiatrist for a year and a half.
Because it's so hard to battle the system that we have to also accept that he may not make it. That we will do everything we possibly can, but it's still not enough.
Nova Scotia Health declined an interview request and could not speak to the specifics of this case. A spokesperson told CBC News that a mental health or addictions crisis does not always require hospitalization. They said a decision to discharge depends on what's agreed upon between the patient and provider.
It seemed very much a situation of we just want to clear the bed, and that seemed to be the highest and only priority.
As for Jeremiah, he finally has an appointment booked with a psychiatrist.
On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause
He hopes with the right therapies and support, he can start to move forward.
I hope that I can be successful in my life. Because I know that's what my parents want, and I want that too.
Selena Alders, CBC News, Dartmouth.
If you or someone you know is struggling, you can reach out for help to the Nova Scotia Mental Health and Addictions Crisis Line 24/7 or the National Suicide Hotline. The numbers are on your screen.
A used car dealership in Lower Sackville is shutting down after nearly 20 years in business. The collapse of Race Auto Group comes amid a swirl of accusations from former customers and the business owner. Blair Rhodes reports.
It's pathetic. I'm embarrassed to be sitting here in front of you explaining the situation.
Jaden McMullen used to be a salesman at Race Auto. The used car dealership is shutting down amid accusations from former customers. McMullen is also the son-in-law of the owner, Mark Turner. On Wednesday, McMullen joined a few dozen customers outside one of Race Auto's properties. They'd been told Turner would meet with them. He didn't. Instead, he called police. In a brief phone conversation, Turner said there'd been vandalism and theft, and he blamed the people milling around outside. In a statement, RCMP say they went to the address to, in their words, de-escalate things. The Mounties also confirmed they fielded some 20 fraud complaints against Race Auto in the last month. The Better Business Bureau has also suspended Race Auto's accreditation, saying the company hasn't addressed marketplace disputes quickly, professionally, and in good faith.
So for 8 months, I've been calling. They've been taking money out of my account. I call, they put the money back. Yesterday, the money come out my account. Nobody was answering all day yesterday. I come out here to find out that it was closed and they went bankrupt.
Several other people echo Sandra Salter's complaint that an old loan that Race Auto had agreed to pay off as part of a financing deal was not paid off, and the old creditors are still demanding their payments. CBC has not been able to prove any of these allegations. A Facebook group where people shared their experiences with Race Auto ballooned to nearly 1,000 members in just a matter of days. When asked specifically about customer complaints about money, Mark Turner said he couldn't comment because he didn't know the specifics. He later added that they are just allegations.
There's liens that are up in the air, over $1 million worth. And that's not even including, filling up our oil or paying rent. There's so many debtors. There's so much in the air right now, so much. A lot of uncertainty for a lot of people.
Mark Turner says he's committed to ensuring all outstanding wages of all employees are paid in full. He says he was also working to address customer files, but those efforts were disrupted by the people outside. As to whether outstanding liens will be paid off, he said that's in the hands of trustees, now that the business is being placed into bankruptcy. Blair Rhodes, CBC News, Halifax.
Police in Cape Breton have charged a man with second-degree murder in the death of a woman who was known to him. Officers were called early Wednesday to a residence on Ling Street in New Waterford, where they discovered an unresponsive person. The victim, a 25-year-old woman, was later pronounced dead. 32-year-old Zachary Paul Landry appeared in Sydney Provincial Court today.
A third suspect in the April 13th fatal shooting in Amherst has been arrested. 34-year-old Michael James Ryan was arrested this afternoon in Moncton. 2 other suspects were previously arrested in the death of 41-year-old Chris Leggett. Leggett was killed in a targeted shooting while walking on Prince Arthur Street last week. And with us now from the Weather Center, Ryan Snoddon.
And the chilly weather continues, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely flurries in the mix today, more flurries in the mix tonight, and again for Friday, and possibly even into Saturday morning in the east. Have a look at our temperatures for tomorrow, and you can see we're going to be ranging between 4 and 6 degrees across the province. This is shy of where we should be, right around that double-digit mark. Northerly winds tomorrow, especially across Cape Breton, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour there, 10 to 20 across the rest of the province. And again, it is that chance for showers mixed with flakes overnight into tomorrow morning. And that flow, that northerly flow, is going to keep temperatures cool into Saturday, along with the clouds a little bit more dominant. High pressure coming in to save the day, slowly but surely, Sunday into early next week. We'll talk about it with your 7-day coming up.
Bring it on.
All
Okay,
right.
thanks,
Absolutely.
Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, the debate over fracking has reignited in Nova Scotia. The province and Dalhousie University are wrapping up public engagement meetings on the issue. As Luke Ettinger reports, many who fought for a moratorium years ago remain steadfast.
An anti-fracking reunion more than a decade in the making. Retired farmer Barbara Jack fought for a moratorium on the practice then, and she says nothing could change her mind.
And we're all, I think, devastated that it's happening again because it makes no sense whatsoever. And for me, one of the tragic ironies is that they're holding this meeting trying to sell us on fracking on Earth Day. So there are health risks, there are financial risks, there are risks to the water, and it's insanity.
The Wednesday meeting in Amherst was part of a series organized by Subsurface Energy. On Monday, protesters disrupted a meeting in Windsor. The Houston government lifted a moratorium on fracking last year. The premier says opponents are drowning out other voices.
There is another cohort of Nova Scotians who have concerns about their jobs, about the economic prospects. They are tired of working in this industry in other parts of the world and raising their children 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. That is also a legitimate cohort that deserves to be heard as well.
In December, the province tapped Dalhousie University to lead the $30 million subsurface energy project.
So we're doing research on health, infrastructure, like roads infrastructure, on emissions, on water, groundwater quality, quantity, wastewater disposal, and various other areas, just trying to understand the geoscience, that's part of the drilling part of it, plus all of these other issue areas that are associated and could affect communities.
Independent MLA Elizabeth Smith-McCrossan says public consultation should have happened before the Houston government passed legislation.
The Premier has a responsibility to listen. He was not here tonight. He was not at the meeting in Windsor. I hope he goes to the meeting that's in Pictou.
Cumberland South PC MLA Tory Rushton also wasn't in attendance. A spokesperson for his office says he had a prior commitment. Luke Ettinger, CBC News, Amherst.
Premier Houston is defending last summer's ban on entering the woods in the face of a court decision that says it was unreasonable. The province-wide ban was implemented because of drought and wildfire risk. A Nova Scotia Supreme Court judge says the province did not show any consideration for individual charter rights, specifically mobility rights. Houston says individual rights were considered, but he prioritized public safety.
I, as Premier, will certainly look at circumstances that are in front of me at any given moment in time, and I will always do what is necessary to keep people safe, to keep property safe every single time. We'll make that decision. We'll do that again if necessary.
Houston says he does not think an appeal will be mounted by the Justice Department.
Nova Scotia's health minister says officials are working to understand the wait times for care that's specific to women and gender diverse people.
We don't have a central wait list. So similar to surgeries, some of those areas are blind to us. So we're not sure, what the regional wait lists are. They're all separate. And so there is work that's beginning now around understanding those wait lists and how, where the problems are and how we can improve it.
Thompson says all gynecological positions are filled at the regional hospitals across the province, but opposition MLAs say that demand for care and long wait times suggests staffing levels are not high enough. Nova Scotian's Lachlan Rutt is heading back to the national stage for the 9th time.
He is leading a revamped crew to the 2026 Wheelchair Curling Championship with a clear goal in mind: the podium. The CBC's Ethan Hunt reports.
Lachlan Rutt's wheelchair curling team is in a familiar spot. For the 9th time, Rutt will represent Nova Scotia at the 2026 Wheelchair Curling Championship.
Well, I grew up in a small town in Nova Scotia, and there was no curling club, no anything, and then to get to this point, it's a real privilege.
Wheelchair curling has a few differences. Participants wheel out to the hog line, where they push a 40-pound rock down the ice off the handle of their broom. Unlike curling, there's no sweeping.
You do have to have some arm strength, and it'll help build your arm strength, which will help you in a lot of ways.
Rutt has wheelchair curled for over 20 years. Meeting new friends, physical exercise, and a little bit of competition keeps Rutt going.
These guys are all disabled, but we all want to win.
Stephen Parfait says wheelchair curling pulled him out of a dark place after his military career was over.
I love it. It's given me back the competitiveness that I lost.
Parfait and Rutt have curled together for years, but in 2025, 3 new members joined the team. Harris Josie became the squad's second, Marianne slid in as the lead, while 81-year-old Joe Dulaw watched from the side as the team's alternate. The Lakeshore Curling Club team won the provincial title in 2025, then again in 2026.
It was great, a real honor. As a matter of fact, they made fun of me because I got misty during the win and overcome with a little joy.
And Josie and Dulon had to learn on the fly in 2025. The group finished 9th out of 12 provinces. This year, Josie has his sights aimed higher.
I want a spot on the podium this year.
The team is wrapping up their practice before they travel to Bouchoirville, Quebec. Team Rutt will compete in the national tournament from April 27th to May 2nd. Ethan Hunt, CBC News, Timberley.
And a Inukshuk at Jador Oyster Ponds there. Ryan's up next with his full weather forecast. Stay with us.
Okay, just saying, every time the furnace kicks in the house, I keep wondering, when's the next warm day coming?
Yeah, but patience, right?
Yeah, patience.
We're running out of it, but...
And it could be worse.
Yes. Yeah.
Our friends in Newfoundland
That's
getting first an ice storm earlier this week, and now 15 to 25 centimeters on the way to the Avalon and St. John's in Newfoundland tomorrow
here.
into Saturday.
Yes, so be grateful.
I say all that before we roll into this forecast. First, our time lapse for today, and it was a beautiful day in Cape Breton. This was the scene in
Iona,
the Highland. Yeah, Iona, absolutely. Yeah. Highland Village. And you can see a bright start to today. Clouds certainly kicked in, but overall, a pretty nice day. Now, you'll note toward the end of this time lapse, you can see a couple of showers off in the distance, way off on the horizon, and those have been in the mix here over the last couple of hours. Let's look at the live shot there, even more pronounced now, as those showers have been moving through across Cape Breton and across parts of the province. And as we look at the temperatures out there right now, anywhere from 2 to 6 across Cape Breton, anywhere from 3 to 6 across mainland Nova Scotia. The winds haven't been too bad today. Kind of a lighter wind day, thankfully. So that is always a win in the spring. Now, as we look at the weather systems map, there's the latest radar shot, and you can see a few showers that have been bubbling up here over central parts of the inland parts of central, that is, and across Colchester, Cumberland, the Northumberland shore, and indeed into Cape Breton, where possibly even a few flakes mixing in already. That will certainly be the case as we move into tonight, and this cold air mass in place. There's the storm that is going to be whacking eastern Newfoundland with that big boatload of snow. And then we look off to the south and west. Look at this warmer air bubble and that frontal boundary dividing the warm air from the cooler than average air, already spilling all the way down to the four corners of the U.S. Regina back to 0 today, Calgary at 4, Winnipeg at 22. So the prairies, 22-degree difference in temperatures between Regina and Winnipeg. Have a look at the forecast tonight. We're going to be right near 1 to 3 degrees in Yarmouth in the southwest. We'll be pretty close to the freezing mark by tomorrow morning in central areas, -4 to -5 across the northeast and Cape Breton. And those showers mixing with a few flurries late evening into the overnight. Best chance of flurries tonight will be across Colchester and Cumberland. Could see a trace to even a couple of centimeters locally, especially in through the Cobequid Pass area for tomorrow. Flurry chances even into tomorrow, late tomorrow morning across the north. This is likely going to be showers mixed with some wet flakes at times into tomorrow for most of the mainland, but into central. And then for you folks in Cape Breton, a pretty nice day again tomorrow. A mix of sun and clouds certainly dominating the latter half of the day, but it looks like you'll stay dry until tomorrow evening as our next round of wet weather comes in from the north. The northerly winds tomorrow, 20 gusts into 40. 5 to 6 degrees for eastern parts of the mainland, 4 to 6 degrees for central areas, and northerly winds here, 10 to 20 rather, and then back into the west, temperatures here ranging between 5 and 8 degrees with those northerly winds, 10 to 20 here as well. There's the snow, yikes, across the Avalon into Saturday morning. So it's the flow around this area of low pressure that's coming back into our region, and for Saturday we're looking at more flurries possible Cape Breton and across the Northumberland shore mixed with showers. This will be the best chance of some precip, will be kind of the eastern half of the province, and as that northerly flow continues, temperatures are going to be cooler. That system will finally start to push away for Sundays, you'll see in a second. So temperatures on Saturday likely limited to 3 to 5 degrees in the northeast, 5 to 7, even 8 and 9 degrees in the southwest, warmest along the Shelburne-Yarmouth areas. And then there goes that system finally moving out, and we're going to see some sunshine moving in with the high pressure area on Sunday. Temperatures set to range between around 8 and 12 on Sunday. That's pretty close to normal. And riding that normal seasonal trend into Monday, Tuesday of next week, even Wednesday. Some much needed widespread showers now looking more set for Friday, keeping our fingers crossed. We're going to need it.
Yeah, true. For sure. Okay. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Well, some maritime dairy sector workers have taken a hit this week. Quebec-based Agroport Dairy Cooperative announced restructuring plans today.
The new strategy will lead to job losses in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. The CBC's Mark Leger reports.
Workers at the Sussex area dairy plant got some tough news this week. Quebec-based Agropure plans to close the plant by 2028, potentially cutting 60 positions here. Some of the people in this plant that's been here since the mid-'80s have worked here for decades, some only for a short time.
Well, they're crushed, really. I mean, some that have been there a long time are close to retirement, so it's just maybe stepping things up. But there are those that have just started and maybe have a young family or whatever, and it's never easy to think you have a secure job and then find yourself all of a sudden looking at a short rope.
Brown is also worried about the impact on the rest of the community.
There's always the trickle-down effect when something like this closes because there's maintenance contracts and suppliers.
AgroPure says this is part of a restructuring plan for the region. It plans to transform a Bedford plant, doubling dairy ingredient and butter processing capacity in the region, and it says it will modernize operations at a Miramichi plant, increasing dairy processing capacity by 50%. It will close the Sussex area operation, which makes butter and powdered milk products, and its ingredient plant in Truro. The Truro plant will mean another 30 potential job cuts. AgroPure says the new investments in Bedford and Miramichi will add a combined 45 positions. In New Brunswick, Unifor Local 506 President Stéphane Lemarot is focused on the job losses.
We're going to have talks with the company and see what can be done, because that plant matters to the members and it matters to the community, and we're going to do everything in our power to see what can we do.
They started working there out of high school.
Sussex area MLA Tammy Scott Wallace says the province should look at retraining and support programs for people losing their jobs.
And so the hope is that there are programs, that there's outreach of support and counseling by the province to ensure that they can land on their feet after this devastating blow.
The Agricultural Alliance of New Brunswick says the cuts will have a ripple effect.
We're not just losing 60 jobs or 90 jobs. It's that losing that critical capacity to process in the heart of dairy country. It's going to be a real blow to Sussex, not just the farmers, but the whole community.
In a statement, the company says, while difficult, these decisions are aimed at ensuring the long-term sustainability of AgroPure's operations in the region.
Coming up, got a flight coming up. A Nova Scotia travel agent has some advice amid the global fuel shortage. Canadian Airlines are canceling flights as the global fuel shortage worsens. Some experts are calling it the worst aviation crisis ever due to the soaring cost of jet fuel triggered by the war with Iran. For more on this, we're joined by Miranda Miller, branch manager at Maritime Travel at the Halifax Shopping Centre. So Air Transat, the latest one to react to this fuel shortage, they announced Wednesday they were cutting some routes. How will that impact people here, or will it have an impact?
It will not directly have an impact from the Atlantic market. We are wrapping up our 2026 Caribbean season here within a couple of weeks, so that will remain intact. Where you're going to see some changes will be with Air Transat, more out of central Canada, moving forward through May through October, going into the Europe and that Caribbean market. You're going to see them tie up some loose ends there.
And before that, Air Canada made some changes. And yes. What's the fallout from that?
Air Canada was making some changes, but they were focused on the routes that weren't quite as busy during the season. And also JFK was announced. They do service other airports in the New York area, Newark, with their partner United. So they will keep that route strong. LaGuardia is still servicing into New York. So the JFK was not a surprise. And the airlines will just condense the routes that are maybe not doing as well or where they were a little heavy for the season.
Given we don't know where this war is going, could this be the tip of the iceberg that we'll see more of the same?
We're certainly going to see lots of changes like we always do in this industry, and we're just going to roll with them. When it comes to a shortage of fuel, be prepared to maybe see some schedule changes and some changes with the airlines. The reductions hopefully will be minimal. Certainly if you're making connections from this region to other areas, we could see more changes on those routes, but we'll have to wait and see. It's still a little early.
Right, and what kind of feedback are you getting from your clientele? Are they getting a little antsy?
Well, there's lots of questions surrounding the issue right now and when to book and what to expect. It's still a fluid situation, so we're just following the airlines and what they're doing and the situation accordingly. We are anticipating increases, of course, in ticket costs because of the fuel shortage, so you will see that. So booking early could be an advantage if you know what you want to do and where you want to go. And if you don't, then we're just going to have to wait. You may end up paying a little bit of a fuel surcharge, but we'll have to wait and see.
But if you already have your ticket,
yes.
They can't retroactively stick it on, can they?
No, they can't. Once you buy a ticket in full, that's your ticket. They can't add a fuel surcharge or implement a fee after that.
Right, and European routes,
yes.
How shaky are they in terms of confidence of them having changes?
Well, we have a strong European market, actually, out of Halifax. WestJet, of course, announced quite a few routes this year. They are going multiple days a week. So you may see, if they were going to a destination 3 or 4 times per week, you may see it reduced to 2 or 3 times per week. They'll be proactive in doing that, hopefully in advance, to minimize any changes. But we're still anticipating a really strong season for Europe.
And if someone's in the middle of their European vacation and something changes, they make a route change, no chance that you get stuck there, or what's likely to happen?
Yeah, no, there's not a likelihood of being stuck there. We're not going to see a full stop. What we're going to see is a reduction. We're going to see some adjustments to the schedules, but you're not going to see a full stop, no.
And we were chatting earlier, you're saying a lot of people getting ahead of this, going into 2027 planning.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, a lot of people already know, like you'd be looking at like the March breakers and things like that. Christmas, a lot of people will travel at Christmas. They are booking far in advance. We're actually doing quite a bit for that time of year and moving into 2027, because those people that know what they want to do, it could be to their advantage to book now before the increases take place.
Any thoughts on what those increases could be?
It's really hard to say. This is still very early. We will just have to wait and see. We hope that the airlines and the tour operators can minimize that increase to the consumer, but we will see.
Any chance folks may stick closer to home? Is that a danger for your industry given the uncertainty around the world?
Well, we do a lot of business close to home, so I don't think it's a danger or anything we're too concerned of right now. You may see some people stay close, but the cost of things here are also increased.
All right, we will leave it there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Coming up, Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is ready to start CUSMA trade talks with the U.S. anytime.
And housing controversy. There's heated debate in Ontario over plans to develop a former prison into high-rise condos. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney offered a rebuttal to the U.S. today.
It's in response to complaints from White House officials this week about what they consider trade irritants in the U.S.-Canada relationship. Rafi Boudjikanian has the details.
With tensions building up as Americans air grievances over stalled trade talks, the Prime Minister is pushing back.
You know what's an irritant? 50% tariff on steel, 50% tariff on aluminum, 25% tariff on automobiles, all the tariffs on forest products. Those are more than irritants. Those are violations of our trade deal.
Mark Carney suggesting Canada can sit down and talk, but also saying time is on his side.
We're ready to go into detailed negotiations. We're also ready to wait if that's what has to happen.
Donald Trump is facing midterm elections in about half a year. His officials facing pressure now over his tariff policies.
I'm trying to figure out if the Trump administration is going to do anything to help small businesses in the next tiers down.
I am the Secretary of Commerce, and Customs and Border Patrol is under DHS. I'm not involved in it, and I haven't participated in those discussions.
But Carney, too, has critics, including on the idea of running out the clock.
I think he should go have a conversation with the people in Windsor who are losing their jobs in the mold-making sector. He should go talk to the steel workers, but clearly the Prime Minister would not want to put a personal political strategy ahead of the national interests or the interests of workers.
All this as Carney's recently appointed ambassador to the U.S. faces questions from MPs.
Mexico is having formal talks this week. Is Canada going to have formal talks on the Section 232 tariffs? And when is that going to happen?
Mr. Chair, we recognize that the 232 tariffs are having a very large and important negative impact.
Mark Wiseman heads to the U.S. as it extends an olive branch to steel and aluminum producers in Canada on those very tariffs, with a caveat, offering some relief if they commit to moving some production to the States. Rafi Bujikani on CBC News, Ottawa.
Another round of high-level peace talks between Israel and Lebanon is underway in Washington. Ambassadors from both countries are hoping to extend the current truce, set to expire this weekend, between Israeli forces and Hezbollah militants. But 2 Israeli airstrikes this week in violation of the ceasefire are casting doubt over the entire peace process. Chris Brown reports from Lebanon.
Whatever durable truce might come out of the meetings between Israel and Lebanon, the killing of journalist Amal Khalil has convinced many Lebanese the ceasefire is stacked against them. As tributes poured in, dueling narratives took hold. Israel says Khalil was inside its occupied zone in Lebanon's south when an IDF strike killed 2 men in a car ahead of her. When she and photographer Zainab Faraj, who was injured, took cover in a building, Lebanese authorities say the IDF destroyed the building and attacked the rescuers. The IDF claims it was firing at Hezbollah terrorists who posed a threat and says it did not hinder rescue efforts. Many here believe Israel is unrestrained by the truce and can kill whoever it wants. Our team attended a mass funeral for Hezbollah fighters and civilians in the southern village of Kfar Sir, where the group is respected. There was also fury at Lebanon's national government. It's a disgrace, said this cleric. As the enemy was fighting, slaughtering, and killing us, our government was shaking hands with them.
Canada designated Hezbollah a terrorist organization more than 20 years ago. But for people here, it's seen as a protector against Israeli aggression and occupation, including a new one that's just beginning.
Mourner Dia Diaskafi told us Lebanon's government has taken no action. It's failed to find a way to protect people here.
Did Hezbollah make a mistake by starting this latest phase of the war?
Of course not, she replies. The Israelis were planning on hitting us first, so Hezbollah surprised them. It will be up to Lebanon's government to ensure the Hezbollah militants stick to any deal it agrees to with Israel. It may be an impossible task. Chris Brown, CBC News, Beirut.
The UK wants to pay France to help stop illegal migrants even before they cross the English Channel, signing a 3-year deal worth 1.2 billion Canadian dollars.
We've already made huge progress on arrests of people smugglers, and I know that with this agreement we can go much further in order to stop this trade and to prevent crossings.
75% of the funds will be used to boost security efforts on the beaches of northern France, including the deployment of more than 1,000 personnel to the region. The rest of the money will be paid if the measures are deemed effective. Otherwise, funding would stop after a year. Britain says that joint work between the countries have prevented over 42,000 attempted crossings since 2024.
A preliminary report on last month's deadly collision between an Air Canada jet and a fire truck in New York is pointing to communication and equipment failures as factors in the crash. The U.S. National Transportation and Safety Board report said that one of the firemen heard instructions over the radio to stop, but did not realize the message was intended for them. The report also pointed to a lack of transponders in the vehicle. They would have helped air traffic controllers track its movement in real time. Air Canada Express Flight 8646 collided with the fire truck seconds after touching down at LaGuardia Airport. Pilots Mackenzie Gunther and Antoine Poiret were both killed. 33 people were also hurt, 6 of whom had serious injuries.
There has been heated reaction to an unusual new housing proposal in southeastern Ontario. CBC News has learned of a plan to redevelop Canada's most infamous prison, shuttered in 2013, to build apartments and condos. Dan Takama has the details.
For 178 years, Kingston Penitentiary was home to many of Canada's most notorious criminals, among them serial killer Paul Bernardo and child murderer Clifford Olson. But now there's the possibility it could be your home too. Last year, the infamous prison was added to a list of federal properties with housing potential.
When I first learned about it, I was like, what the heck?
Documents obtained by CBC News suggest the government considers the pen a sleeping giant waiting for redevelopment, estimating up to 700 units of housing could be built there. Kingston's MP doesn't buy it.
Conversion of a property like this is, in my opinion, just wildly unpractical.
A visioning exercise recommended keeping the front gate and main cell block, but leveling about half of the site to put up housing, some in high rises overlooking Lake Ontario.
Kingston Penitentiary, scene of the worst prison riot in Canadian history.
The prison has survived fires, escapes, and yes, riots.
People would have to question investing what would, I presume, be significant amounts of money into place with if you believe in it, the spirits that may be lingering around this site.
One passerby took that a step further.
They should just burn it to the ground, get rid of all the evil spirits.
It's been called the Alcatraz of the North, with a reputation that's drawn more than 685,000 visitors and an estimated tens of millions in tourism dollars. It's also a National Historic Site.
It was really housed the full spectrum of the human experience here.
If the day ever comes where the pen trades cell blocks for condos, would people move in? Kingston's MP already knows his answer.
No, I wouldn't.
Dan Takama, CBC News, Kingston, Ontario.
A new Canadian study is looking into how ADHD affects women throughout their lives. Researchers are hoping their work will help identify the condition earlier and give women the tools to manage it as they get older. The CBC's Jo Horwood reports.
So I have a couple of different methods.
After her friend was diagnosed with ADHD, Carly Irvin says she started to notice some similarities.
The biggest thing that caught my attention was the inability to kind of pick up on when to jump into conversations, which I did not realize not everybody had the issue with.
A year and a few appointments later, Irvin had her answer, along with a treatment plan.
It was very freeing to kind of be like, okay, maybe it's not just me needing to feel like I'm different than everyone and it's a bad thing. Maybe it's a part of something I just need to understand.
We know that women in their 30s and 40s are the group that's getting diagnosed at the highest rates right now, which is shocking.
Emma Climie is collecting stories like Irvin's for her research at the University of Calgary. She's recruiting hundreds of Canadian women and girls with or without ADHD to take part in a study.
I think the oldest lady we have right now is 94.
Comparing how the neurodevelopmental condition affects women throughout their lives. A baseline of knowledge Canadian researchers don't have.
Women have a lot of very significant life transitions to go through, and so I think we don't really know much about those. Well, women's health in general is understudied, but certainly with ADHD.
Climie hopes the project can guide future research and physicians to help identify the condition earlier in life.
We also know that ADHD is...
Sarah Binder sits on the advisory board for the Canadian ADHD Research Alliance, or CADRA. She says while more women are tracking down a diagnosis, there's still a gap in understanding what that means for the rest of their lives.
A lot of women who have previously been undiagnosed with ADHD will have much more severe postpartum depression and anxiety. And then now we see a lot more women paying attention to the hormonal fluctuations of perimenopause, where we see estrogen fluctuations for 5 years or more before actual menopause.
For Irvin, medication and understanding her condition have helped.
Like if I don't have them out somewhere, I'm going to forget about them.
But managing her ADHD will be a lifelong task.
Menopause is already a terrifying thing to have to go through. It's so much on your body. To think it's going to get even worse with ADHD is mind-blowing.
Joe Horwood, CBC News, Calgary.
Canada will soon have its first Inuit-led university. The school will be built in Nunavut and is slated to open in 2030. Juanita Taylor has more on this new institution and what it will mean for communities in the north.
I am standing on the future site of Inuit University, next to the frozen shore of the Hudson Bay. The hamlet has been selected by Inuit Tapari Kenetami, the national Inuit organization spearheading the project. Once built, this will be the first university in Canada's Arctic, led by Inuit.
It's very humbling when you step back and look at everything from the perspective of Angveamut and a mayor at the same time. It's quite amazing the benefits that we will see as a community. It just makes me very happy, even just seeing kids down the street walking, going to school, that they could go to university now without leaving home.
Inuit Nunangat is the homeland of Inuit in Canada. It spans across 4 regions: Inuvialuit, Nunavut, Nunatsiavut, and Nunavik. Right now, those who want to attend university must leave their communities and families and travel thousands of kilometers south. Soon, they will be able to stay closer to home and attend a university that will be grounding all its courses on Inuit culture, values, and language. Leaders have been long calling for an institution like Inuit Nunangat University, including Canada's Governor-General Mary Simon at the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues.
It will be Canada's first university rooted in Inuit culture and language. These are major steps forward. They allow Indigenous youth to imagine and build meaningful futures without giving up who they are.
ITK hopes to have the first cohort of students in 2030. Juanita Taylor, CBC News, Arvet, Nunavut.
Canadian and U.S. markets drifted lower today amid continued oil price volatility and geopolitical instability. Here is a look at where things closed as we head to break. All right, well, we know the signs of spring picks have been thinning out a little bit.
Yep.
For sure. Let's see what we have tonight.
What can you do for us?
Well, one thing that almost always delivers, I guess it depends if it's too cloudy or not, is usually a nice sunrise, sunset
That's
shot,
true.
right? Any time of year, it looks beautiful. So yeah, have a look at this. Zooming in on a beautiful spot, Mushaboom, near Sheet Harbor, and nice sunset shot from a couple of nights ago. David, thank you so much for sharing this. Beautiful
Lovely.
clouds there. Ryan's picks at CBC.ca. A few sun breaks in the mix again for tomorrow, but I'm expecting that the clouds will be dominant for the most part. Temperatures ranging between 4 and 6 degrees. Yeah, far cry from where we should be, around 10. And we are looking at those northerly winds tomorrow, 10 to 20, except 20 gusting to 40 across Cape Breton. And for you folks in Cape Breton, it is looking more like a solid mix of sun and cloud there. And then as we look ahead to Saturday, quite cloudy across Cape Breton. Good chance for showers and flurries. The Northumberland shore, also in that mix with more cloud cover on Saturday. And a brighter sky and a milder temperature as you work your way southwest and away from that onshore northerly flow on Saturday. There's the storm that is, again, reminding everybody, bringing 15 to 25 centimeters to the Avalon Peninsula in Newfoundland Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. But even though we're not getting that storm, the flow around that low is what's backing in from north to south across our province. So we are under the influence of that system, and it's not until that area of high pressure works its way in from the west that breaks down the cloud and allows the winds to ease a little bit into Sunday and early next week that we're going to finally be able to get back into a more seasonal pattern here. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, and Wednesday, Thursday, the final days of April. And, you know,
it's still April. Good point, Ryan.
That's right. May begins on Friday. Lots of hope.
Okay, you bet. All right, well, when you think of breaking records high above Earth, the recent Artemis II mission, of course, might come to mind. But now astronauts aren't the only ones making unprecedented strides.
A Lego set inspired by the movie Project Hail Mary has set a Guinness World Record. It was launched into the stratosphere from the UK last month using a high-altitude balloon system.
The set reached nearly 35,000 meters above sea level before returning to Earth.
Okay, there you go.
That's pretty cool.
Impressive in its own right. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.